Well, yeah, another movie-going year has come to an end, and I think it's been an overall solid one, of a decent assortment of big blockbusters, small independent releases, and original films proving entertaining and thought-provoking. And now, I'm going to name the 10 movies that most impressed me with their storytelling and imagination. Although for my number 10 spot, I selected a sequel, albeit one that did a lot of interesting new things with its concept. Inside Out 2. This did what a sequel should do, which is to take the characters to new places and solve new problems and have them grow, while still understanding what made the previous film so appealing. The script is very clever, using our familiarity of how our brain works to come up with a lot of funny visual gags and wordplay, but it also manages to show the next step in Riley's life as she enters teenagehood. I especially liked how it handled anxiety and the effect that can have on a young person. Director Kelsey Mann and his team portrayed anxiety in a nuanced manner that showed an understanding for why people might deal with this and displayed the needed empathy for Riley and her situation. I put Inside Out 2 in the top position on my animated movie ranking for this year, so I have even more to say in that video. But I was really impressed with what Mann and everyone else at Pixar pulled off of this movie, an example of why I don't mind when the Hopping Lamp studio returns to one of their earlier films. My number 9 pick is a documentary about a legendary film composer. Music by John Williams. It's probably not too surprising I would enjoy a documentary about John Williams, but what makes this especially work is it becomes more than just reminding you about his many compositions over the years. It gives you an understanding for what inspired his work and why it has managed to touch so many people. The documentary obviously delves into Star Wars and his collaborations with Steven Spielberg, but it even touches on his less-known accomplishments and how they are just as important. Although yes, his longtime friendship with Spielberg is wonderful to see, and it's great hearing them talk about each other. The moments when it goes into his personal life are nicely woven in, and the amount of archival material edited into the documentary is outstanding. Watching Music by John Williams really makes you think about how pivotal music is to the art of filmmaking and the various joys and emotions this specific composer has brought to many. And number 8 is the latest entry in a horror franchise that has quickly become one of my favorites. A Quiet Place Day One. I absolutely love the concept of these movies about aliens attracted to noise, with director John Krasinski and now Michael Sarnowski crafting films that use tension and sound to great effect. The notion of going back to the day when the aliens first attacked offers a lot of opportunity for invention, and we get a number of great scenes that showcase their abilities and the ways people try to avoid them. However, Day One also recognizes the importance of having characters we're invested in and hoping they can survive. Lupita Nyong'o is great as the lead protagonist, Sam, who has her own illness to deal with, along with these aliens, and she shares plenty of terrific scenes with Joseph Quinn as another person trying to survive. And of course, there's that cat who becomes an absolute scene stealer as he walks through the destroyed New York City. The Quiet Place movies appeal so much to my taste with the stories they're telling and how they're executed, and at this point, I definitely look forward to each new movie that comes out. My number 7 choice is a film about journalism in the face of a shocking event. September 5th. Centering on the ABC sports team who find themselves covering the Israeli athlete hostage situation at the 1972 Munich Olympics, this film found the right angle by keeping it almost entirely locked into the television studio. Director Tim Felbaum keeps it interesting throughout its tight 90 minutes and is able to develop the principal players, including the president of ABC Sports, the head of operations, and the local translator. It becomes a reminder of the growth of live television and how in those early decades of the medium they were still trying to figure things out and decide what the public should be privy to. The discussions about what they should be showing and the effect this is having on the situation are also worthwhile. These are conversations one can imagine them having in actual newsrooms. Does this movie play differently post-October 7th and the way the current war between Israel and Palestine is being covered by the media? Maybe, but I would still find it a riveting recreation of a historical event that touches on important topics regardless. And number 6 is a film about two cousins and the complex emotions they're feeling. A Real Pain. Jesse Eisenberg did a great job of directing and writing this movie and managing to explore the two lead characters and everything they are coping with as they go on this Holocaust tour in Poland. There are plenty of humorous bits as we see their contrasting personalities, but the film also digs deep into them as they make their way to find their late grandmother's house. The script is able to delve into multiple topics with ease and is further elevated by the performances. Eisenberg is excellent as David Kaplan, depicting his frustration and confusion at his cousin Benji's actions while still trying to find some way in. And Kieran Culkin is great too, showing the problems he's trying to face and jumping between Benji's charming and sadder moments. While the other people participating in this Holocaust tour also leave an impression, A Real Pain is primarily about these two, and it provides the proper level of empathy and understanding for them that makes everything feel genuine. My number 5 pick is a comedy about a grandmother taking things into her own hands. Thelma, a hilarious movie led by a wonderful performance by June Squibb, this becomes a celebration of the elderly and how they're more capable than they're often given credit for. There's a rooting interest in hoping she can get the money she was scammed out of, and Josh Margolin successfully takes action movie tropes and applies them to this elderly woman, whether it's a high-speed chase with electronic scooters or trying to get away from her family as they frantically search for her. Squibb shares plenty of great scenes with Richard Roundtree as her friend Ben, and her grandson Daniel has a solid arc of his own. The heartwarming moments work really well too, and the result is a really entertaining ride that will likely make you think of your own grandparents. I definitely enjoyed spending time with Thelma through the film's 98 minutes. At number 4, I have a depiction of how a legendary television show got started. Saturday Night. It's interesting that both this and September 5th are on my list, considering they involve the pressures of live television in the 70s, are set largely in one building, and are about the quick thinking needed in that environment. However, while September 5th is about a serious subject, this is the complete opposite and focuses on the launch of a comedy empire. Most people watching the movie will know that the show does make it to air, and SNL lasts for 50 years and counting. However, that's not what the movie is about. It's instead about the uncertainty that goes into whether people will like any new show that makes it to air. There's a lot of fun to be had watching Lorne Michaels try to wrangle everyone together and think constantly on the fly about what sketches make it to air. Everyone is able to embody the people they're playing, including Gabriel LaBelle as Michaels and Corey Michael Smith as Chevy Chase, and Jason Reitman keeps things interesting as we never know who will be around the corner. Jon Batiste score is another important ingredient. I'm a sucker for behind-the-scenes show business stories like this, and Saturday Night delivered to me an entertaining portrait of the beginning of this long-running series. For my number 3 choice, I have a screwball comedy involving an erotic dancer. Honora. Walking into this movie, I knew the basic premise, and that was directed by Sean Baker, whose previous movies I've also liked. However, what I did not expect was how hilarious it would be. This is maybe the funniest movie I've seen this year, especially when a group of bodyguards comes in to break up the marriage between Honora and a Russian oligarch's son. The wild goose chase that follows and the eventual frustrated conversations provide plenty of laughs, and the execution of those scenes brought to mind the films of Howard Hawks in the best way. Beyond the comedy scenes, there's also the needed sympathy for Honora as she thinks she's gotten her Cinderella story. What I like about Baker's work is he never talks down to people of a different social class or whose job is not considered respected. Honora is not looked down upon by Baker for being an erotic dancer, and her offense of being insulted by these bodyguards and those they work for is completely justifiable. Mikey Madsen is also absolutely fantastic in the title role. You take this journey with her, and the movie's able to depict both the absurdist comedy and the sadness of her situation exceptionally well. And number 2 is an over 3-hour epic about the immigrant experience. The Brutalist. Brady Corbett was able to craft something that felt both classic Hollywood and modern in its exploration of a Hungarian Jewish architect trying to make a new life for himself in America. Fantastically played by Adrian Brody, we see Laszlo Toth's development as he tries to create his buildings, all while he's mistreated by a rich industrialist. You feel how much Laszlo despises this man, while also knowing he's giving him the money to accomplish all of this. Corbett keeps things captivating to the point it becomes a shock when the intermission card pops up, because it does not seem like the movie's been playing for long. The film takes a very critical view of how immigrants are treated when they're trying to make a new place for themselves, and it's particularly interesting the way it emphasizes the Toth family's Judaism in multiple scenes. The imagery of the film is outstanding and adds to the power of the film, which has kept me thinking about its themes and concepts several weeks after I've seen it. And my personal number 1 pick is a musical about a couple of witches. Wicked. I've never seen the beloved and long-running stage musical, and most of my previous knowledge walking into the movie involved the premise and a couple of the songs. So I did not come into this already with an attachment to the material. Not that it mattered, because I was captivated right from the start. John M. Chu mounted a terrific musical production with wonderfully choreographed numbers as aided by Stephen Schwartz's unforgettable songs. Tunes like Popular, The Wizard and I, Dancing Through Life, and especially Defying Gravity are brought to the screen with the right energy and with Chu and his team making great use of the Aussian environments. Most importantly, I did find Elphaba's story one worth following, and the growing bond between her and Glinda becomes one of the highlights of the movie. Cynthia Erivo is great as Elphaba, while Ariana Grande finds the perfect comic timing for Glinda, along with showcasing her character development. I also greatly appreciate the themes of the movie as it tackles subjects like scapegoats and how those in power try to shift blame to others for society's problems. Even though this is supposed to be Act 1 of the play, I did not feel shortchanged, and the story was able to give the characters the needed arcs. I'm definitely excited to watch the second part in 2025, especially after seeing what John M. Chu has put together here. Now let me know in the comments what your favorite movies of 2024 are, and have a happy new year.